Today on the Soccer O.G, we roll up our sleeves, figuratively, as we address the biggest issue facing the U.S. men's national team. With 2021 looming, we have a game, November the 12th, Wales and the United States in Swansea. So they will make a trip across the Atlantic to play a team that has qualified for the Euros, that has great talent like Gareth Bale and Aaron Ramsey, Daniel James, good young players coming through. This is a good test. This is a good test. And we'll see what the U.S. have got, because every game now they have to seize this opportunity, certainly for Greg Berhalter, as he's getting more options, and we've talked about it on this program. But we've got to figure out who is going to score the goals, or maybe more appropriately, who is going to play up top as that striker in what we expect to be a 4-2-3-1 lineup. The goalkeeper, there's a couple guys there that you feel comfortable. The back four looks pretty solid. Serginho Dest has been fantastic as he's going to lock down a fullback spot. Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, we expect that to be the partnership in the back of the midfield. Then you have the three guys at the top, Gio Reyna, Stampum, Christian Pulisic. We'll get back to him in a moment. And then maybe a Jordan Morris or a Tim Weah. But who's up there? It's a very important question. There are candidates, and we'll go through those here, and we'll look at maybe some dark horses that can get into this mix as well. But I asked the question, does the U.S. have what it takes to find goals elsewhere? And let's keep that on the burner, and we'll come back, because that's what France did. France in the World Cup, Olivier Giroud, he could score goals, but he was generally setting up other guys, and they scored goals. And I think the U.S. will get their chances. They just got to execute as this young team gets older. So let's go through the guys. I think there's going to be a role for Jozy Altidore, no question about it. He is going to be 31 in November, still very young. He just has the tools that no one else has around this U.S. men's national team. Obviously, experience, a big frame that is very hard to dislodge, excellent with back to goal. There's going to be a role for him, so we will see him there. Is he going to be the featured guy? I don't think so. And Josh Sargent, who did score this weekend, and the book on Sargent, who plays at Werder Bremen, is that he's getting minutes, he's starting games, but he couldn't score. And they've moved him around a little bit, but you've got to be really encouraged about the season he's had. And now he gets a goal in league play, which was huge against Eintracht Frankfurt. Nice goal. And this is the guy it's going to be. He's 20, still very green, but this is going to be a young team. And I mentioned having experience, but you don't want too much experience floating around. You don't want too much of the old guard, because you want the young players to go through that process without some help, but kind of seize the opportunity, seize the space on their own, figure things out on their own. And again, they have time to do it. So Josh Sargent should be the guy. And just those two guys that I mentioned, that gives you some optimism, but we need some more. And we got to look a little bit further. And this is where it's going to be some guys maybe off the grid. Two very young players, Timothy Weah and Conrad de la Fuente, just not playing enough. Tim Weah is going to feature somewhere in a 16-man roster, maybe playing in the midfield, maybe as a striker. But he's playing for Lille, which is a really good team, and second in Ligue 1 behind, surprise, surprise, PSG. But they're a really good team, and he's getting off the bench not only in league play but in Europa League. But no goals, and he's got too many guys in front of him, I think, to make a real impact. So I want inexperience, but I want guys who are playing. So I don't know about Weah. Conrad de la Fuente, he's not going to play at all. He's 19. He's on the Barcelona bench, which is amazing, just to be on that bench. But he's going to probably play for the second team. And as we get closer to certainly 2021 summer with the Gold Cup, 2022, he's got to be playing. So I can't really put those guys on the top line. The one guy that has been scoring goals, and it's in the Swedish league, and I would also add there's a lot of good young players out there. They're just not quite ready. But you figure someone's going to hit. You have like 6 guys playing in good clubs, either in the first division or second division of one of the biggest countries, Italy, England, you name it, Spain. One of these guys are going to hit. But you need some guys who's going to say, I want to score the goals. And Aaron Johansson is playing at Hammarby in Sweden, also getting some Europa League action, scoring goals, 10 goals in 20 games overall, 4 goals in 5 games. I think he's kind of like a bit of a project in the sense, a revival project, because he was last capped in 2015. He's still young. You bring him in, And he won't have that, hey, I was with the last group of players, I can grow with these kids. So Aaron Johansson's one I like. When you look at it all, it's not a bad situation, but someone's got to put their hand up. And I said yes, for the United States, they could score goals collectively. But that's if Christian Pulisic is in the lineup. And I hate to say this, as he picked up an injury ahead of the Chelsea game with Burnley, what do they call it? I wrote it down here. That a little bit of a hamstring injury, a small sensation in the hamstring. You can't rely on Christian Pulisic. You can't until you see some light at the end of the tunnel with the injuries, because they just keep coming up. So for us to say that, yeah, he's going to play there in 2021 in World Cup qualifiers, oh, yeah, he's going to play at the World Cup, is just not realistic. We can't rely on Christian Pulisic at this point. We hope for the best, but right now it's like the injuries are a real problem and they're not going away. Subscribe to the Soccer O.G. We're going to solve this thing. It's coming, baby. U.S. men's national team is looking good. Despite what I just said about Christian Pulisic, it still looks really good.